Welcome to RPV City Talk. RPV City Talk is brought to you by the City of Rancho Palos Verdes to inform the community on recent city matters. RPV City Talk is a weekly show that features the RPV Mayor, City Council, or City employees.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Brown Swanson and welcome to RPV City Talk. Today to talk with us, I'm glad to announce that we have our Captain Blaine Bolin with the Sheriff's Department here, and I want to say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Liz. Thank you.
And of course, we're here to take a look at all the great things coming up with the Sheriff's Department in 2015 and also to look back. So I guess what everybody wants to know is how did we fare with crime here in RPV and on the peninsula in 2014? Did it go up or go down?
Well, crime overall went down.
Okay.
We were down overall. That's great news. In fact, at Lomita Station, our entire jurisdiction, crime went down 17% in 2014. For the peninsula, we were down in all categories, Rancho Palos Verdes and Rolling Hills Estates, with the exception of our burglaries. Burglaries were up by 1 in 2014 for Rancho Palos Verdes. We had 181 burglaries, but that includes commercial burglaries, shoplifting, and so forth, and residential burglaries, as opposed to 180 in 2013. That was for Rancho Palos Verdes.
So that's good news for the residents because, as we were saying earlier, as we were talking here in studio, there's a perception and a feeling that we feel less safe and we feel like crime is actually up, but that's really not the case in terms of the perception might be fair. People, we want them to be aware, but in fact is it's gone down. Right.
Well, I think the perception has come up because we look at this for an entire year and, we were just one over. But if you look at where the burglaries occurred throughout the year, we were up significantly the last third or quarter of the year. And so that's why I think that's contributed to the perception that crime is significantly up.
And why do you think that was when you see an uptick like that? Is there an explanation?
Well, there are a number of factors. One is that we've had a few professional burglary crews come from the outside and come over to the peninsula, and that's contributed mightily to the spike. And another factor is that we've had opportunities, criminals that have taken advantage of opportunities, unlocked windows, doors, and so forth. And we've seen that continue to be our Achilles heel on the peninsula.
The fact that you've been able to sort of keep crime under control here on the peninsula in RPV and the fact that it actually went down, what do you attribute to that? Is it the great work by all of you?
Well, yeah, I tell you what, and I'll say yes, the great work by the men and women who work out of Lomita Station. They're the best, but it's the partnership we have with the community, with our Neighborhood Watch, our Homeowners Association groups, and them messaging and educating the residents to do their part to secure their property and to be aware of their surroundings and looking out for each other. That partnership is why we can point to the successes that we've had.
Every time we get together and we talk about what's happening with crime, we can never say enough how important the community input is, neighborhood watch groups, and just to obviously be vigilant and be aware. Oh,
absolutely. I can't stress that enough because, quite frankly, they're our eyes and ears. We've said that time and again, but it's true. Nobody knows the community, the peninsula, like those that live here full time, and so that's we rely on them. And to the extent that we are successful, they play a large part.
I'm wondering what kind of trends you might be seeing, though, with crimes that are being committed here on the Hill that concern you.
Well, there are a few trends, and let's stick with our burglaries. We've saw that with those professional crews coming in, they're trying to circumvent capture. And one of the ways that they've been doing that is coming in with high-end vehicles with either out license plates or with paper plates so that our automatic license plate readers are not capturing their vehicles in our vicinity. And another trend is that we're seeing more sliding glass doors and windows broken in order to gain entry into homes. And those are usually on the backside of properties, so they're out of view, usually in an area that's less illuminated. And so that's, and when they're doing this later in the day, typically your residential burglaries would occur anytime from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. Those would be the peak hours. We're seeing them on the peninsula a little later, and a little later being 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So those are some of the trends that we've noticed lately.
And to reverse trends like that, it's...
Well, again, the key is to secure property, right, and neighbors looking out for each other, And then I would also love to encourage the community that if they're going to be gone, vacation for an extended period, please let us know. We have a vacation check program with our volunteers, and we can touch on that a little bit later. But some of the homes that we've seen burglarized were folks that were away for an extended period and susceptible to being victimized.
Do you recommend home security systems? Is that something you do, like to have people put those in place?
Well, anything that will deter crime, we're in favor of. We don't, we don't endorse one company over another.
Right.
But what we do is whether it's a dog, an alarm system, a sign of an alarm system, a good neighbor, bolted locks, whatever you need to increase the likelihood that you'll prevent a crime, that's what we're in favor of.
Before we start looking at some of your goals for 2015, I want to look back at 2014. Any particular cases that you're so proud your department solved that you want to highlight? Some of the big things that you had to deal with in 2014.
Well, we had many, but I'll highlight. Thank you, Liz, for throwing that out there, because we have one particular detective, and I have a number of hardworking men and women that investigate our crimes with our detective bureau at the station. But one gentleman, Todd Hoy, he was involved in a couple of cases that I'll describe for you, and for that, he's been nominated for the Los Angeles County Police Officers Association Excellence in Investigations Award. He's a nominee right now, and he was also given personally an award from the Attorney General, Kamala Harris, for his excellence in investigative work. And on July 6th, we had a vehicle burglary in Rancho Palos Verdes. A vehicle was unlocked, credit cards were stolen. Shortly thereafter, those credit cards were used at Target in San Pedro. Well, Target, as you know, has a very sophisticated surveillance and camera security system. We were able to get a copy of that camera system. Detective Hoy put the video in his computer, pulled it up, and immediately recognized who the suspect was through past investigations. Went out to that individual suspect's house. He wasn't home, waited for him. He happened to come home with a couple of cohorts in a stolen car, imagine that. And then he ends up detaining them. We wrote a warrant for the house, and inside the house, what we uncovered was mail and personal information, credit card statements, and so forth for over 100 identity theft victims.
That was huge for him.
Well, that was huge, spanning 27 cities in Southern California and 4 additional states in addition to our own. So that was an elaborate identity theft scheme, enterprise that he thwarted based upon his intimate knowledge of the area and those who are committing some of our crimes. And it just doesn't stop there. That same day, we had a burglary of a church, and where flat screen televisions were taken and a microphone system was taken, and things that were near and dear to them. And they also had a video camera system. We got a copy of that. Detective Hoy reviews that again and sees.
We might have to start our own series called Detective Hoy right here on RPV TV. That's awesome.
Well, he identified the suspect, and again, let's go back. He went to the house and ended up arresting the suspect, another suspect as well, and recovered the property. So those were, that comes to mind immediately for some of the highlights we had in 2014.
Well, congratulations on that. And I'm sure as you're out there and you're trying to solve all these cases, it's frustrating. You probably hit roadblocks all the time, and you just do your best you can when you're out there.
Well, we do, but we don't let the frustration get the better of us, and we know that with each new day, there's an opportunity for a new lead or something to break a case. So persistence and patience is what we key on.
And in that light, are there any unsolved cases that really you focus on any unsolved case, I'm sure, but just anything your team's really working on from years past that you want to remind everybody out there that you are still on it? Anything in particular?
Well, there's one particular case in Rolling Hills where we've had residential burglaries going back to 2012, and that particular suspect has been elusive. We believe we've identified who it is. He's a transient individual, and we've put out that information to the public, but that's the one that comes to mind. But with other cases, many of them, we're hopeful that we'll get a break in the case through the fingerprint or DNA forensic evidence that we've taken for some of our residential burglaries that will lead us to some of these other crews and suspects that are responsible not only for crime on the peninsula, but throughout the South Bay and Los Angeles County.
Let's move into 2015. What are some of your goals as captain as you lead your team and keeping our community safe?
Well, I'll tell you, we want to get a handle on our residential burglaries. That's primary, and I think we're making strides in doing that. And again, it's a partnership with the community. But we also have a community policing plan that we want to fully implement in 2015, and I'll just cover a couple quick highlights of that plan. Is for each case that is assigned to an investigator to look into, we will have that detective contact our victims within 48 hours, 2 business days. So there is no confusion in the minds of the victim as to do we have their case, who's handling it, who's my point of contact, what's my case status. All of that will be taken care of, and communication will be established within 48 hours. Another point of the plan is to have one of our watch deputies, those are the folks that are on our desk answering our telephones and dispatching our calls for service to our patrol cars, having them reach out to the community once a week, following up with a call that they took from a member of the community just to find out the disposition. Were they satisfied with the call? Were they satisfied with the service? Mm-hmm. And just again, increasing our outreach in the community. And then the other significant component of our community policing plan is having us, what we've been doing since 2013, and that is walking our neighborhoods, knocking on doors, and finding out from the communities, literally where they live, at their doorstep, how they perceive us, what we can do better, and what their concerns are at that particular moment in time.
As we talk about the community policing that you're trying to move forward, the mayor of RPV, Jim Knight, as he's come forward as mayor this year, has said one of his big hopes is to work with your team and do exactly that. Go into, in Rancho Palos Verdes, at least every neighborhood, to the different associations, and sit down and say, what are you feeling about crime in this particular neighborhood? Because you'll see probably different things, different pockets. And what is your thought about, again, this approach, and also working with the mayor to do something like this?
Well, we like it. That's I've talked to Mayor Knight on a number of occasions about that particular approach, and we're all in favor for it. It gives us every opportunity we have to be visible in the community, every opportunity that we have to be in a public setting, in a forum where we can address questions, concerns specifically with our presence. We're all in favor of, and I think that gives an opportunity for not only myself but members of the station to come out and interact with the community in a positive setting, and I think it's beneficial for the community as well as for us.
But do you expect, if you were to map what happens in RPV with crime and incidences, that it's fairly distributed, so to speak, or are there pocket areas? Like, I know I live on PV Drive South. They've heard, well, when you're on the main drives, it tends to be you're more exposed, so you can probably expect more activity. Is that really the case, or?
Well, I think historically that would be the case. If you look at Rancho Palos Verdes, the main arterials, the Crenshaw, Hawthorne, Palos Verdes Drive East, Palos Verdes Drive North, those are the areas where you have the greatest amount of traffic. So you have the opportunity for those coming from the outside, which are responsible for much of the crime, to that's their route of access. So I think that would hold true if you were to look at historically the crime trend in RPV.
But as far as you look at where the needs are, we've heard talk of, like, on the south side of the city, about possibly seeing a satellite station in terms of trying to combat what happens with crime, and obviously for trying to help your team do the work they do. Talk about that, and where's that going?
Well, I tell you, the city of Rancho Palos Verdes has been very accommodating for us, and their concern, as well as the concern of some residents, and I share that concern, is that on the backside of the peninsula, are the resources there full time, and is the visibility of the sheriff's department on the backside of the resources. We're there, but what can we do to enhance that? And having a satellite station, the thinking goes that we would be able to keep our resources that we do have there for a sustained period of time, because right now, for deputies to get copies of reports or to conduct certain aspects of their business, they would need to come all the way back into Lomita Station, which is a significant distance away from the backside of the hill, as you know. So the thinking would be if we have a satellite office or a location where they can touch down and with a temporary presence, then that would preclude them from having to come all the way back in time and again to conduct business. They can remain out in the field where they're visible and proactive, and that's the thinking behind the satellite station.
So what will it take to make it happen?
Well, I think we, in talking with, interim city manager Carolyn Petru, she has already provided us access at Ladera Linda with one of the offices where the park ranger has an office. We're able to utilize that as a south side location. And in order to make that happen, I mean, that's significant right there, but again, just continued dialogue with the city to see if that remains the best option for us, or if there are other locations that might meet that need that we have in order for us to acquire.
Of course, you're meeting the needs of not just RPV residents. You contract with the 4 cities on the hill, or for the 3 cities on the hill, right? And then
3 cities in the city of Lomita.
And so you have meetings quarterly, right, with
Yes.
all the parties, and it's regional law enforcement meetings. Talk about recently, like when you meet, what comes up, what issues are you addressing that affects the entire community's safety?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's we have that Tri-City Regional Law Committee, as you've mentioned, and the committee consists of 2 council members from each of the 3 cities: Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills Estates, and Rolling Hills, as well as their city manager. And that committee evaluates the sheriff's department's service on a quarterly basis, and they look at our response times, they look at the crime rate, they look at traffic enforcement. They also look at the other services that they're providing, our core team and so forth, and evaluate what that previous quarter, our success. Some of the issues that they've discussed center around the technology and the automated license plate reader, and what's the cost benefit associated with putting additional cameras either in a car, purchasing another car with that technology, or having fixed cameras at locations throughout the cities to assist us in our intervention and crime prevention efforts. That's been the significant issue that's come up.
And of course, well, when you look at the pros and the cons, I know obviously in terms of being able to offer better protection to the residents in the community, on the other side you also were having to balance privacy issues, so as you're doing that dance. So what do you think the outcome will be of that, and when might we see cameras if that comes?
Well, I think that would be a question for the committee, but that discussion's moving forward. And obviously with our input, and as you've said, it's a delicate balance because there are those privacy concerns which we're mindful of, but we do know the success we've had with the technology in our radio cars, and it'll, as the discussion moves forward, I'm sure that the committee will do what's appropriate for their respective cities.
Yeah, and as you mentioned technology, we were talking earlier about now that we live in the society we live in and everybody's on the internet, and that on the one hand is causing you more concern over crimes that are, you have all the technology crimes that are being done with identity theft and all that, but you've also have a presence now like on yourselves where you have a Facebook page. So how is it helping you in terms of having the technology that's out there to help solve crime and do what you got to do and communicate with the residents? At the same time, it can be getting your way.
Right. I'm not as savvy technologically as I like to be. However, we do have very capable staff at Lomita Station who they keep our Facebook page current. They keep our website updated and has a lot of useful information for the community. Our website has our crime statistics, has notable arrests and other useful information, safety information that they can access. And our Facebook is more of a dialogue with the community. It's a rolling dialogue.
Yeah, I was impressed, like over the holiday, there was a great dialogue about do not drink and drive. I mean, you were talking about that you're going to have, regarding DUI and in terms of that you're going to be out there in full force. And it was really interesting to see the kind of responses you were getting. It seemed to be very effective and pushing your message. And I asked you, did you have many DUIs over the holiday on the Hill? And you said no.
We did not, and which was good.
News.
That's great news. We did not. Everybody was well behaved, which is great, and we didn't have a whole lot of overall that evening, New Year's Eve, and just the holiday period was fairly quiet, which is usually that's quite the norm here on the peninsula.
All right, but as we're talking about the internet too, in terms of, are you seeing more residents calling that they're being scammed, and to be careful regarding internet safety?
Yes, and we're seeing a rise in identity theft crimes, and that's all over, and we're constantly providing information and
How not to be a
how
victim.
not to be a victim. We actually have speakers from the station that will go out and give presentations on internet safety and so forth, and along those lines of identity theft, I do want to remind folks that there are a couple of things that they can do to limit the likelihood of them becoming a victim of identity theft. And one is shred everything that you don't need. Keep secure information, confidential information, personal data information for you and your kids locked up. And then also the issue of debit and credit cards. Use your credit card because more times than not, banks, financial institutions will cover your loss if there's unauthorized purchases, whereas your debit card is coming out of your personal account. Sometimes could be a little more difficult in recouping that loss.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this makes a proper segue. Speaking of losses, we're about to say so long to two of Lomita Sheriff's finest. Mm-hmm. We have Sergeant David Roses is retiring, and also Deputy Chris Knox. I won't say they're our favorites, but they're two of our favorites. And big shoes to fill. And just your thoughts about the contribution that these two fine officers have made to our community and keeping us all in good hands and safe.
Well,
a whole other program.
Yeah, but I think the word you use, Liz, contribution. Their contribution has been enormous, and I'd say it goes beyond just putting on the uniform and just traditional law enforcement responsibilities. Those two have been an integral part of the community for many, many years. Dave Roses, quite frankly, in many respects, has been the face of Lomita Station. He's been the personality for an extended period of time because he's so familiar. His wife works up here. His boys went to school up here on the peninsula, and he has been every much a member of this community as the community has. And he just happens to go to work. His day job is wearing a Sheriff's Department uniform. The hours he spent, the time, the commitment to the community to make the quality of life up here better. And he's been so accessible. The community knew they can call him anytime, day or night, at home, on his cell phone, reach him at work, and he's been responsive to the issues and concerns out in the community. So what can we say is his loss, well, it's good for him because he has earned this his retirement. The loss will be felt by all of us.
Even though he'll still be around.
And he'll still be around.
Right here.
He'll still be around, and he'll be. I've made him guarantee and promise that he'll still. He won't become a stranger. With Chris Knox is an institution in his own right. Everybody knows the name Chris Knox. Wherever I go,
every new driver knows the name Chris Knox.
Every teen driver, I think, in the classes, they're showing his picture. But Chris Knox has been tremendous for this community, and folks may want to talk about his prolific traffic enforcement, and his prowess with ticket writing. But he's much more than that. He has been instrumental in educating our teen drivers. Instrumental in talking to auxiliary groups about traffic safety. He's been instrumental in bringing the every 15-minute program to Peninsula High School, which simulates drunk driving, very graphic and very eye-opening. And so he's been about traffic safety and saving lives. And Liz, I'll tell you, the one thing about Chris Knox that many don't get to see, but it's the tears in the eyes of the parents as they come up to me, thanking me and wanting to express their gratitude for Chris Knox, because he did issue a citation to their son or daughter, and they feel that he potentially, and I believe in all probability, has saved many teens' lives on this peninsula because of his traffic enforcement. Parents recognize that, and so again, he'll be quite a loss to fill. But we have capable folks waiting in the wings to to take those challenges and assignments on.
All right. Well, we hope to see them around the community still, like we said. And thank you to Deputy Knox and to Sergeant Dave Roses for all that they have done. And they've certainly left an impression on all of us, and to do the right thing.
Right. Yes, they
Right?
have.
It's all about doing the right thing.
Indeed.
And as we only have a few minutes left here, I'm just curious, since you've been captain here at Lomita Sheriff Station, what do you enjoy most about what you do? It's a huge charge to lead the team.
Well, now that's a whole show in itself. What do I enjoy most? I'll tell you, in addition, it's an honor to be a captain with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. It's something that I certainly don't take for granted. And then to be assigned to Lomita Station, where I have the cities of Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills Estates, Rolling Hills, City of Lomita, our unincorporated area. If you look at this pocket of the County of Los Angeles, it doesn't get more beautiful than this. And I'm just talking about not just the aesthetics, the ocean view, and the fresh air, but it's the people, and it's the men and women that I get to work with every single day at Lomita Station. Salt of the earth deputies. I get to see I have a front row seat with everything that they do each and every day. They're big-hearted people that you mentioned doing the right thing. They're committed to doing the right thing, and they work hard. And this is not an easy job to do, and yet they come dedicated to do the job and that they've signed up for, and then to be able to interact with the community, the good members of the community. That was reinforced, Liz, over this recent holiday period. Having a number of folks just come into the station, outpouring of gratitude for what we do and what the Sheriff's Department means to them, with cards and gifts, or not gifts, but goodies, baked items and so forth. So for all those reasons, it's...
You got the best substation in LA.
We've got the best substation in LA County, yes.
And the greatest volunteers, which we want to remind residents, there's so many volunteering opportunities at Lomita. We're not going to be able to talk about it as we wrap it up, but they certainly go on the website, right, which is lasd.org, and find out about what you're all doing and also opportunities to volunteer with you and help out.
Absolutely, and our Facebook page, our website, and all volunteers 18 years or older, we have many assignments for them to do.
All right. Well, thanks for taking time out of your schedule. We'll see you in here next month with another update, and thanks for keeping us safe and, again, doing what you do.
You're welcome.
That's going to do it for this edition of RPV City Talk here with Captain Blaine Bolin. Have a great day and stay safe out there.